Hello everyone, this is a follow-up video to my previous video where I started digging into the code base of the iOS SDK for RevenueCat, and RevenueCat is a set of tools to make your in-app purchases easier to manage. And the way I ended up the last video was that I would like to follow up by looking at how they do testing, everything around testing. And I still do, but it kind of changed my mind. I would like to take a look at these V2 configurable paywalls first, because it's currently in beta still, I believe, and what they're doing is that they're basically letting you configure paywalls using like very basic elements such as H tag, V tag, text button, and yeah, it's very like freeform and configurable. And then on the client side, the iOS client side, they turn this into Swift UI actually, which is pretty fascinating. We've seen things like this with on top of UIKit, React Native being a good example, but Swift UI is like so much more high level and implicit. There's a lot of implicit behavior just when you consider like button that Apple won't really let you hook into. That, yeah, like doing this on top of Swift UI is something I find pretty fascinating. So let's take a look. First of all, to kind of show you how this works end to end, I've created a sample project in RevenueCat and set up a sample app. This is the dashboard. This is the paywall section where you can create a new paywall, V2 paywall. You can either create a new one from scratch, or they have a bunch of templates that you can use to start as a starting point and tweak it further. Let's select one so I can show you the editor. This is what it looks like. Let me move this. Yeah, the left side is a bunch of components. This is the root. Here's an image. Here's where you configure all the stuff on that image. I haven't checked yet. I assume that these images are just like loaded and served instead of somehow being fetched asynchronously when they're about to show up. Yeah, we can take a look at it. They support localizations, which is something I guess they had to put together from scratch. Support for light mode, dark mode, some very basic logic. Like, what if the user is eligible for introductory offer? There's components, few basic components, some pre-baked. Every paywall will have packages, basically in-app purchase you're purchasing. So we'll have these packages and a purchase button. So that's ready for you. What I did is that I set up a paywall from scratch. That's, I mean, looks very basic, but oops, that's not what I wanted. Can I? Oh yeah, Command Z works. Nice. It's super basic. It just has that package and purchase button, which is kind of intentional. Yeah, I guess let me show you how this works on the client side. This is a sample iPhone app that I created. There we go. What I just did is that I added a button that you can see here that displays a paywall. There's multiple ways to do it. I kind of chose the most custom one, so I don't need to wire up too much logic. And yeah, I just configured the SDK login. I'm not sure if that's necessary, but I do that. And when I tap on this button, this is the paywall, and it's actually backed by it's backed by SwiftUI. It's really not like just a web view or anything like that. Before we move further, one thing I did is that I was wondering if I will. You have to set up a in a purchase product, so we have something to display, and I managed to work around having to create a new app in App Store Connect and stuff by creating this mock StoreKit config that you can use to test things. Yeah, I just created a test in-app purchase here, and then what you do in your scheme settings, you can set this. So that's how I kind of worked around having to create a new app in App Store Connect and set up the purchases there. But another thing, there's this talk from iOS Conf Singapore where Charlie Chapman from RevenueCat is actually explaining how all of this works, so you can check it out. And but yeah, what I want to show you is the quote-unquote data layer for this. First of yeah, I was kind of, let me add a sample text again, and call it test. And what I want to do is intercept the network traffic by saving the changes, and yeah, I believe this is the request patch to, yeah, that looks good. And here's the JSON. Let me grab it. This is a request that got triggered when I tapped on this button. And let's see what the paywall is. Let's format it. Can I make this bigger? Yes, I created a new text element that let me close this again. Yeah, test, which is down here. It's under localizations. It's kind of abstracted to support multiple localizations. And let's see where this is being used. Right here. As you can see, there's a JSON segment that says, okay, this is a view of type text with ID. This is the localized text to display. And this is the sizing of the text. The size and above the width and the height should fit the content. There's font, color. You can set separate colors for light and dark mode. And this is called server-driven UI. If you're a mobile developer, you are probably, assume you're familiar with JSON. And the way it usually works is that the server gives you data to display, like JSON for a user, where you have, the user ID, username, user email to this number of followers, and how that data is displayed or represented is generally hard-coded in the app. Whereas, as you can see in this JSON, you literally have like very clear description of what to display and how to display it, kind of like HTML. This is a thing that's hard to achieve, but It's yeah, a well-requested feature because it allows you to experiment, to change things without having to publish a new version of your app, which your company might be doing once every 2 weeks, once a month. But so and even after that happens, you need to wait for people to actually get the latest version of the app, which is these days happening like quite fast with automatic updates and all that stuff. But yeah, this is just way more flexible. And yeah, as you can see in here, this is if we inspect, this is the data represented as HTML and CSS. And when it's pushed to the client, the same data is represented as SwiftUI views. So I guess we can jump to the code and take a look at how this works. So I was kind of going through it. We're back to the RevenueCat project I was messing with the last time. And there is a library called, or target called RevenueCat UI, which is here, which has a folder templates. And there's this V2 folder. And yeah, let's try to go top down. There's something called RootView. Just to, so I assume like no matter what your view looks like, it's gonna be inside of this RootView. So what we can try to do is we can try to launch the app again and put a breakpoint here. Okay. Let me try to open it, and yep, we are inside of this root view, which okay, there's some components view. Okay, root view, yeah, it ends up there. Here's your proof. So we can take a look at okay, what is going on here. These components, it's inside components folder, tend to have a SwiftUI view and a view model, a corresponding view model. Okay, yeah, that's pretty common practice. The root view has something called stack components view, and if there is a sticky footer, it shows sticky footer. You can take a look at the components view. Can close the preview for now. There's a bunch of environment object. This is dependency injection, color scheme. What is color scheme? This is actually straight from SwiftUI. Screen condition, compact, regular. Okay, that's these compact and regular. That's from Apple. They seem to be having a custom stuff where they have compact, medium, and expanded. View state, which is okay, default or selected, fine. Package context, okay, so configuration, okay, and I guess interesting part is this body. This is, a part of SwiftUI to render a view. And you have this view model styles thing, wrapper, that my impression from briefly looking at this is that this is like propagation of properties you may use something that was set on the parent or some default value, or you can override it for this particular view, which you can do in that editor here, where I can say that, I don't know, the left padding for this should be, okay, is this the left one? I mean, doesn't matter, but yep, there we go. So this is to apply styles. Yeah. And then there's this, if the view is visible, here's this make. Yeah, you have a group, which is when you kind of don't know what's, which is a way to abstract different types of views that might be returned based on some condition, this switch statement in this case. Vertical stack, horizontal stack, or Z layer. Okay. And this is a stack component view, so okay, based on the stack component style. Dot dimension. Okay. Let's take a look at some of the, text is probably the most basic view that we can find here. So let's take a look at how this works. This is the styles pattern. As you can see, it's at the end of the day, it's actually using SwiftUI's text, where it initializes it with a, I don't know why this is, maybe something with that implicit localization. Maybe that's why they had to wrap it like this. As I said, SwiftUI does a lot of things implicitly that cannot really be turned off when you don't want it. And it's, you set cast font weight, multi-line text alignment, fixed size, padding, background style, which they call margin padding. That's kind of a thing about SwiftUI. And you can set background style, which is either a color or an image. So if I go to the editor here and I say, okay, background, I can set a color, but I can set a different color for light and dark mode, but I don't necessarily see the option to set an image here. But technically it looks like it, that the you can also take a look at the I assume that color means, it looks like the JSON cannot, okay, maybe it's, I guess it's like the JSON cannot do it at this point. Or maybe there's background underscore image or something like that. Where were we? Size. Okay, how do they deal with sizing? They have some custom size modifier. Okay. So I guess they just gave up. I mean, at the end of the day, they are using frame, but Okay, fit, fill, apply with, frame. Okay, interesting. Okay, cool. Not sure why it's why don't they just... Okay, yep. Seems complicated, but they must have, their reasons for why they did it like this. Instead of just being like size, with style size map, height style size map into, something that SwiftUI understands. And then there's this foreground color. Let's take a look again. That's some custom SwiftUI modifier where they get the color scheme. And okay, so like light with configurable override for dark mode. There's this error. I watched the YouTube talk I showed you before, and the speaker mentioned that as they turn JSON into these view models, if there's an error, they basically give up and fall back to the version 1 treatment of those paywalls, or so that might be something to do with that. Content foreground color scheme. Okay, here is... Okay, if there's an error, do not apply it. Otherwise, okay. Now we're in the realm of SwiftUI. Here is where you set the foreground color. There is something to dynamic color, display per color scheme. There. Okay. UI. Okay, yeah, quite a lot of hackery, which doesn't surprise me because, yeah, trying to bend SwiftUI to your will to be this dynamic is... And I guess that's it. That's how you render text. This is previews. Yeah, I made that work before it did render. Okay, yeah, previews for SwiftUI previews for all types of those views. Okay, I can take a quick look at the view model. Localization provider. You cannot really hack into the localization that's baked into SwiftUI. And then there's this text component, which I guess... Component base. Okay, here we're like codable services. What the JSON is being turned into. Components common. Okay, component base. Can take a look at how that localization provider works. Paywall components localization dictionary. I guess that matches the JSON that's down here. Type fallback string localization data. Okay. Kind of localized images, it seems. Which brings me to, I wonder if we take a look at image, like where does it take that image from? Image view model. Does it just download it on demand, or does it download all the images in advance? I would expect that it downloads them in advance to kind of provide a native experience. You can try. I mean, let's add an image. All right, we have an image. Let's do what we did before. Let's see what happens when I save it. There we go. This is the one. Let's grab it. Let me publish the changes. Try to load it. Okay. As well, save. Do I want to format this? Yes, I absolutely do. And let's try to find an image. Okay, here we go. Here, that's the image. Size, fill, fit. Fine. Now if I relaunch the app, I wonder if I'll need to like reset the app once again, because from my experience, like changing things like in the middle of the life cycle of the app is a recipe for disaster. You know, doing things like applying feature flags as they are pushed. You quite often just want to save it and only apply everything at once during the lunchtime, the next time the app is being launched. But no, it's here right away. It kind of flashed, which is interesting. But let's see if we can. I mean, what I see here is I see some URLs, but these might be like local paths as well. But let's take a look at this image content view model and set a breakpoint. Let me try to open this. Bang, there we go. And let's see what we can. Image info light. Okay, that's URLs pointing to the remote. Which kind of hints that it does not pre-cache them. I mean, I guess it like does cache them, so the second time they're not. But the first time this is being showed, it looks like it's they're not. It only grabs them on demand. But let's keep digging. So if you look at image component view, remote image, okay. Again, interesting. I thought that this would just be all downloaded in advance as a part of some zip archive or something like that, to kind of mimic the native experience where you have all the assets ready. Render image, remote images, URL, low-res URL. Let me load images, okay. Error loading image. Okay. Empty view. If there's an error, show the error. And if it's loaded, low-res or high-res. Okay. Got it. Let's take a look at button. There's probably not much to the view model. The only thing about a button is that you can technically, what I noticed is that if I had a button component, I can it's kind of like in SwiftUI, I can add whatever I want inside. I can add icon and text. I can add 2 pieces of text. Okay. So how are they dealing with the content here? Here's the actions. Yeah, that's another thing. This is like the server-driven UI is kind of like HTML without JavaScript. You can't really bake logic inside. I mean, when you have a button, you have predefined options of what happens when you tap on it. You can restore purchases, you can navigate back, or you can navigate to privacy policy terms of service or a custom URL, and that URL can be treated as a deep link in a browser or external browser. This is kind of like, in HTML, a href and that target where it's open, doing something like on click or it's just, it's not configurable here. So that's this, action, destination, components, and if we look at the button, vstack, button component view, this preview, sorry. I was looking at where is the, here. Async button, okay, here's some perform action. And label is, stack component view. So kind of like the root has stack component view as its root. It's the same here. You can render pretty much whatever inside of a button makes sense. Async button is, okay, I see they're actually using actual SwiftUI button under the hood, which I find a bit surprising. There's so much implicit behavior baked in a button that I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, this isn't worth the headache. We're just gonna do regular view with on tap modifier on top of it. This is async button is just a button that where the on-tap closure is async and sendable main bound to the main actor, yeah. All makes sense. What is this error? Just out of curiosity. Is this being used somewhere somehow? Oh, the action is actually can throw. Okay, and you can somehow display an error if it. Okay. Okay, fine. And there's these pre-baked buttons, like or not buttons, components, the package and purchase button. We can take a quick look at that. Packages, maybe. Okay, here's the purchase button, which is just an ASIC button that triggers purchase. Yep. And if it's already in progress, you can tap on it all you want. It's not going to do anything. And the label, the same. You can render whatever you want inside. And here, I guess this is the view for the package, which actually, I can quickly take a look at that. This just shows like hard-coded text. In my case, I didn't mess with that, but I was like, okay, I would like to see the price or whatever. And I noticed that here there's this add variable, so maybe, okay, product price. So I guess this is how you know, and yeah. And do like, only bank, and I don't quite remember like what we can, or maybe like the, yeah, can I like, yes, beautiful. And this should say like purchase. Now if I redeploy this, it should actually, and if I have like a, I guess this injects like oh yeah, it's like, if I do a freeform text, it's and say you add this, it doesn't really know what to, or maybe you need to have like one selected by default, so that's how it propagates. But yeah, I believe you need to have one of these packages, and you need to have them selected. But yeah, this is how you can, when you have like, I don't know, monthly subscription, yearly subscription, this is how it propagates the data. And I guess this button, yeah, actually grabs whatever package is selected. You always need to have a selected package, I believe. Okay, that's how it works. I mean, we can Paywall has errors. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, save changes, publish. The view model AI gives you a package. Interesting that it's optional. Oh, it gets it from... Okay. This just saves a package ID, and these are like loaded offerings, and it grabs it from here. Okay, makes sense. I don't assume that this reloads, like... I need to restart the app, which, you know, makes total sense. And it doesn't show that might be my fault though, maybe and I saw some warning here. Yeah, empty product titles are not supported. Can I... Maybe that's just... Yeah, that was it. And it's called the... Yeah, it's... This is grabbed from the App Store. Yep. I don't know if I can easily change the price. I guess I can. To $99.99. Yeah. Okay. I think that's all I have time for today. I don't know, I might do an extra video digging into how it's parsing the JSON, but that's maybe not that exciting. Maybe one last thing. Let's take a look at the stacks. I kind of peeked into it, and that's interesting. Component view model, stack component. Kind of saw this. Here's those. Where was it? Dimensions. Yeah. And okay, vertical stack, horizontal stack, Z stack. They use the SwiftUI one, but for vertical stack and horizontal stack, they have custom implementations for some reason. So we can take a look. Okay, internally there's this VStack, but VStack when not many things. This is not a final. There are some horizontal sizing issues with lazy. Yes. These lazy things are. Yeah. What is flex HStack? It's just a regular. Okay, HStack. Where they're doing some custom trickery with spacers to kind of bend content, just spacing to... Okay, so they had to re-implement HStack and VStack for certain cases. Yeah, fun stuff. I don't know, might have to do. This SDK supports SwiftUI like the iOS 15 version of Swift UI. So maybe it's something with like behavior on iOS 15 versus iOS 18. I don't know. Would need to ask. Anyway, hopefully this gives you a overview of how this works. All right, see you next time.